Hey, it's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
What a pleasure to talk with Dr. Paul Chinchen. He's the president of the African Bible College, actually colleges there.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about Malawi and so much more. Doc, how are you?
Doing good. Thank you. And really appreciate you guys having me on your show and talking about what we're doing in Africa. Like you said, we have 3 colleges there, one in Liberia, one in Malawi, one in Uganda. I've lived in all 3 countries. So thank you.
And right now you're in the far off land of Jackson, Mississippi.
That's right.
How do you spend Christmas in Jackson, Mississippi?
It gets cold. You have to wear a sweater. It's low 70s today. So yeah, still colder than it is in Malawi right now is their hot season.
Yeah.
In fact, the British used to call October, November the suicide months because it would get so hot during those times of the year. So It is nice to put on a sweater during Christmas time.
Yeah.
Now, do you come historically? Do you come stateside for Christmas, or is this just because of COVID, or what's going on?
Well, no, good question. So my wife and I lived in Uganda and Malawi 25 straight years. And then our 3 youngest kids that were born in Africa, I run a mission hospital. In addition to the 3 colleges, I run a mission hospital, the ABC Mission Hospital in Lilongwe, Malawi. So 3 of our kids were born there. But when they got to high school age, we wanted to school them stateside. So I'm based out of the campus of Reformed Theological Seminary is where our stateside offices are for our mission. And then I travel back and forth to Africa. Before COVID, I was back there at least 4 times a year, sometimes 5 times a year. Since COVID, since June, I've been back twice in Malawi and Uganda. We'll be going to Liberia in the spring.
Well, let's talk about African Bible colleges and how it all got started and your mission there in Africa.
Yeah, so, okay, good question. So my parents moved to Africa in 1970. I was 6 years old at the time. My parents had 7 children, and my dad was going there to plant churches it was called CNEC at the time, Christian Nationals Evangelical Commission. So that was in the early 70s. The first 7 years we were in Liberia, our family lived in a bamboo mat house. My twin brother and I had a pet chimpanzee that slept in a cardboard box between our bed, and our bamboo mat house was up on stilts. So that's how I grew up deep in the rainforest of southern Liberia. It's called the Sapo Rainforest. If you guys have kids, they've watched a movie called Chimpanzee, and that was filmed in the rainforest, the Sapo Rainforest, probably less than 50 miles from where I grew up.
Wow.
So I grew up way in the jungle, but it was there. We were there 7 years. My parents realized, what this country of Liberia really needs is a Christian college. And so like a Biola or like a Moody or like a Wheaton. Mm-hmm. And so in 1976, they built the first Christian college, 4-year university in Liberia, but they named the mission organization African Bible Colleges because they said, well, there's 52 countries in Africa. And if Liberia needs a 4-year evangelical college, there's probably other countries that need one. And so sure enough, 10 years later, my wife and I, by then I was married, late 80s, we went to Malawi and I built the campus there with my older brother, Del Chinchen. We built the campus there in Malawi. And then 10 years after that, built a 3rd college campus up in Kampala, Uganda.
Now, Doc, when your mom and dad, I don't know how they broke the news to you. How do you prepare a family of 7? Did they have all 7 before they went, or did you have a few and then added more? How do you prep a family? And were you all in like, wow, this is exciting, or gee, I don't know, maybe we should pray about this? How did that work for you guys?
No, great question. So, there were 7 of us in the family. I was on the younger end. And so, yeah, it was just a big adventure. We left in January 1970. So that Christmas, we got helmets and water canisters and jungle knives. And so my twin brother and I thought it was great moving to Africa. My older brothers and sisters one was in the military, one was in college, the rest were in high school, were not as excited about it. So actually 4 of us went with my parents and lived in the bush and grew up there. So I didn't know any different. And, as a kid, you make friends quickly. My twin brother and I, within 2-3 months, were speaking the local language. They speak Sapo down there, and they speak another language called Kru. So we spoke that, as well as Liberia was not necessarily an American colony, but it was settled by African Americans that went back to found a country there, Liberia. So it was never truly colonized. But so they speak English, but it's a real, what you would call a pidgin or a Creole English. So that's the main language I grew up speaking. But yeah, we loved growing up in the bush, had great friends. And, you know, as a kid, you don't know any different. I was there first grade until I finished high school. It was a great place to grow up. Yeah.
And so you've been there off and on for a number of years. Tell us about the work that you've seen God do through African Bible colleges there.
No, well, thank you for asking. The three universities that we run is our primary mission. And this is something that's really needed in Africa, is Christian leadership, because obviously back in the 60s and 70s, most mission work was done by missionaries. That's changed over the years. And then things like a civil war in Liberia, or like Ebola when that hit West Africa, or now COVID, and you have missionaries and expatriates, Europeans fleeing from Africa. Who's going to run all the work that's been started there since, let's say, the big missionary push after World War II? And so you really do need national leadership. And that's where we specialize in training nationals to run organizations like Campus Crusade, which is called Life Ministries in Africa, Navigators. There's so many mission organizations. World Vision is another one, SIM, Samaritan's Purse. So those are all organizations that really rely on the leadership that we produce at our Christian university. So we really specialize in not just training pastors and Christian leaders, but young people that can run mission organizations and do a good job at it. And that's really our sweet spot as far as higher Christian education.
Dr. Paul Chinchen on with us. If you're watching Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or listening on the radio, president of the African American Bible Colleges there in Africa. Well, here we are in 2021, getting ready to segue into 2022. How have things changed, and what do you guys need?
Okay, so and that's one reason I'm on your show. So we're in a real transition phase now with our three colleges. Historically, like I said, we had a real sweet spot in training Christian leaders for Christian organizations. We've realized, though, that we need good, strong evangelical Christians in every sector of society. So over the years, we've added a business department, mass communication, radio and television broadcasting. We're probably the only Christian university on the continent. And by the way, Africa has 1 billion people. People don't know this, 1.2 billion.
Wow.
Here's the great thing about it. Half of them are Christians. So you have 500 million Christians in Africa. That's more Christians in Africa than we have Christians in America. And their numbers are on the rise. We have somewhere between 30 and 32,000 new Christians, born again Christians, every day in Africa. Meanwhile, our numbers are in decline. In the US and Europe, if you combined us with Western Europe, there's 7,000 fewer Christians today than there were yesterday. So there's a tremendous, here you have this massive Christian population. You need Christian leadership for it, but you need good Christians in every sector of society. For example, every church that any American would attend in the United States, you have successful Christians that are successful in business, that are great Christians that support the church, support mission work. We need those kinds of Christians that are successful in business, supporting their churches, supporting mission work in Africa. So we started a business department. We started another department called community development. But what's needed most now is in the IT and science sector. We need doctors in Africa. I run a mission hospital there where my 3 children were born. And I'll give you a really good but sad example. Over the 21 years that I've run that hospital, we've had somewhere between 45 and 50 doctors, Malawian doctors, that have worked at my mission hospital. Only one out of those 45 or 50, only one was a female, was a lady doctor. And so we need more ladies, girls finishing high school in the sciences, biology, chemistry. They can do it in university, can go to med school. So we want to open that door. But Malawi, for example, doesn't just need more women doctors. They need more doctors, period. Here in the U.S., to put it in perspective, for every 300 people, we have 1 doctor. So the ratio is 300 to 1, one doctor per 300 people in the U.S. In Malawi, this is mind-boggling. It's 33,000 to 1.
Wow.
So for one doctor to every 33,000 people, it's impossible. So Malawi needs more doctors. So what we're working on now is a brand new high school. And let me just say, we don't just need people in the medical world, in the sciences, but also in the IT, computers, robotics, electronics, engineering. Africa needs those things. Africa is growing at a tremendous rate, not just population, but their economies. If you go to the World Bank webpage, they have a list of the 20 fastest growing economies in the world. 20 fast. 11, more than half of those 20 fastest growing economies in the world are in Africa.
Wow.
But the IT sector is not there. We know if you buy a cell phone, it's made in China or Taiwan. We know if you're doing coding, you call somebody in India. So India and China, Asia has really taken advantage of that IT world, and Africa hasn't. But because at the high school level, those subjects aren't taught. Nobody's teaching coding in high school. You can barely find a high school that even has a working microscope. There's no computer labs at government high schools in Africa. Kids don't come to school with laptops. My kids that are in high school here in the United States haven't pushed a pen and pencil in 3 or 4 years. Everything's done on their laptop.
Right.
So that's where we need to go. And it's going to start with the building a STEM high school. Right now in Malawi, we're building the very first STEM high school in the whole country. So it'll have a minimum of 400 kids in grades 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So starting in middle school, going up through high school, we're going to be running the first STEM high school, preparing these kids so they can excel in those subjects when they get to college. Because we can start a computer sciences department in college, but the kids aren't ready for it. We can start a pre-med department. We have the hospital, we have the professors. We can start pre-med, but the kids haven't had the biology, science, and chemistry to prepare them for it. So this is a preparatory school for our college, but really for all the universities in Africa to get these kids ready at a very advanced level to go to university, excel, and start bringing the IT infrastructure coming into Africa.
So folks can to give and find the information at AfricanBibleColleges.com. Is there a better place to go or what?
Yeah, it's actually we're partnering with a giving platform that was started by one of our former ABC missionaries, and it's called DonorSee. It's a great way to not just give to work in Africa, but you can watch what you're giving. So when you make a gift, you can see the people on the other side receiving it. So it's called DonorSee, just like it sounds, DonorSee, and then /STEM. So it's really easy to type in DonorSee/STEM, and that goes to the ABC STEM high school project that we're working on right now. So yeah, Rick, thank you very much for asking that, Dan.
Doc, we got to take a break. We appreciate you. We love your story. We'd love to have you on again. If we could do that somewhere around March, we'd like to kind of pick up with you.
Okay.
And,
okay.
Good on you guys for what you're doing. And it looks like this is, with the high school, I mean, it's not going to be fixed overnight, right? This is a long-term growth prospect. But when this thing explodes on the other end of it, it's going to be amazing.
It's gonna change the whole future for Africa when you get kids ready to do the coding, robotics, the computer sciences that they're doing in India, they're doing in Asia right now. We need that in Africa. This is a beginning. Nobody else is doing this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate y'all featuring this, and it's going to change the whole people's lives, not just a kid attending high school, their whole family, their whole community, to get this level of education.
Love that. Dan's put the website there. You'd like to be a part of it? Absolutely. Follow them, see what's going on, and be a part of it. DonorSee.com/STEM. That's STEM. Doc, have a great Christmas with your family. Let's get together. Let's get together in March and see what's up.
I'll be in touch. Well, thank you. Really appreciate this. Thank you.
Absolutely. Check it out. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.